I got a few updates from yesterday and a couple little video clips to share with you, and we'll get to all that right after this. Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. It is Thursday, March 30th. And Thursday reminds me that tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. my time, we'll be doing our next shop talk. So if you have questions, comments, or topics you'd like to discuss tomorrow, put those in today's comments section and be sure to put several question marks in front of it. That way I can identify it as being something you'd like to include in tomorrow's shop talk. So thank you for that. I had all these grand visions of teaching Trin how to fly fish yesterday, and I really thought it was going to go well, but it was one of those deals where pretty much if it could go wrong, it kind of did go wrong. Overall, it was a success, I guess you'd say, but it wasn't the success I was hoping for. The winds weren't horrible, but they were aggravating. They just would go this way for a while, and then they just, in a second, they would turn and be going this way. So when you're trying to fly fish, especially teaching someone 9 years old and brand new to it, that wind makes a lot of difference. It'll blow it right back in your face type thing, and it was a little more wind than I would have liked to have anyway, but it was probably doable if the wind could have just been stable in one direction. Regardless, he did pretty good, and he did, fairly well with the casting and all that, and it really wasn't too bad. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, that pond back there, those fish are not active yet. I guess it's because it's shallower, and I guess the water's still really cold. We didn't even get a nibble, which that's pretty unusual with fly rod and flies, throwing them out there like that. Generally speaking, those green sunfish and the other fish that are in there too, somebody should have been after something, and there was really nothing going on. So it kind of turned out to be a bust. But even with all that, I do have a little bit of video to share with you so you can at least see that we made our best effort. Now the wind's blowing this way again. That's not too bad, but you're jerking a little bit fast forward before the fly gets back there. You're getting it down. That's pretty good, really. Well, hope you enjoyed seeing Trin there on his very first time ever casting a fly rod, and he did pretty well. I think it went over pretty good, and eventually that's going to be one of his favorite ways to fish. I'm just sure of it, because it's a lot of fun. And for those purists out there that are all into the trout fishing and stuff, we don't do the trout fishing with the fly rods. I mean, it's not that we couldn't, it's just that there's really no accessible trout streams close by. There is one kind of semi-quasi trout stream that's just over the hill. In fact, it's called Mill Creek, but it's so small and it's so grown up with brush that you really couldn't use a fly rod in there if you wanted to. Or you probably could in a place or two, but you'd really have to find the place or two. Trout are pretty darn scarce in that little creek anyway. The rest of the trout streams are at least an hour plus away from the farm. So for the most part, we're talking about fly fishing in the ponds and down at our river. On a different note, I mentioned that Cash had participated in a talent show for his school, and he was in the elementary division. And in the elementary division, out of roughly around 8 contestants, I don't know the exact number, he took second place, which was pretty darn good. When you consider all things, you could make a case that he should have got first, because the girl that did get first, apparently she was a good singer and had a good upbeat song and all that, but she only sang. She didn't play and sang. Cash did his own playing and his own singing. So in that regard, I'd kind of have to lean toward Cash. Of course, I'm a little bit biased anyway. Since I couldn't actually get the video clip to download, I have a link in the description to Cash Playing and Singing. So go over there, take a look, and if you want to make a comment on his video there on Facebook, please do that. And you can, mention that you saw it here on Rosa Stringworks if you want to. That would be fine too. Right after I finished filming my video clips yesterday morning, the friend of my daughter who has been staying here this week brought a guitar down. It's a Carlos Rebelli, I think is what it's called. And I've seen those before. And actually it was a pretty decent guitar. The saddle was loose as ashes in the bridge. It needed a good fret leveling and a little bit of an adjustment on the nut as well. So, I mean, it needed a full-blown setup, don't get me wrong. But overall, it was a pretty decent guitar and a reasonable setup that was on it. But anyway, I did that. I took about an hour to set up his guitar and showed him all the details of how I do it and all the fine points and, just every little thing that you've seen in my videos. And he was super impressed and he just absolutely loved it afterwards. His wife said he couldn't quit playing it. He took it back up to the rental retreat and just kept playing it, she said. So I was happy that he enjoyed that. Now, I didn't film it, unfortunately. Probably in hindsight, I should have filmed it just so you could have seen it. Finally, I'm going to leave you with this. You see this little thing right here? And you see that? These are my dust gates that I made. And, I got to thinking after making those plans for my thickness sander, that I ought to draw up plans for these. This, I gotta tell you, is a game changer when it comes to dust collection. It is absolutely 10 times better than those plastic gates you can buy for your dust collection. I mean, 10 times. There's not even a comparison. Those plastic gates, they load up with dust and they don't close all the way, and you just, all of your gates, you can hear them going whenever you turn on your vacuum. With these, you hear absolute silence. There's nothing but silence. That is what's awesome about these. The sliding mechanism, the wooden part of it is rock solid 100%. The hokey part is the attachment points. And you would have to come up with your own attachment points. Like on this side, I have just used silicone caulk inside and out to glue on this PVC adapter. And on this side, I used the cheap plastic gates and tore them apart and just used the silicone to attach it there with that plate. This attachment point's very solid because you got this big flat plate to hold it on there. This one's a little less solid. You can break these loose if you're not careful. But for the most part, you don't move these things. You just put them on there and you attach your hoses and then you don't mess with it. So generally, they hold pretty good. I've had good luck with them holding here in the shop. I've had 1 or 2 break when I've actually moved a machine or something. But over the years now that I've been using them, they work great. And they still do not leak at all. And they're self-cleaning. The fact that when you slide this through, see, your dust is going through here, and then when you slide that through, it's self-cleaning. All the dust that's caught in there just gets pushed right out. So they're completely self-cleaning, and they're completely 100% sealed. There's no air leaking at all. So I am going to go ahead and make the plans for these and put those out available for sale before too long as well. In my opinion, there is no comparison between these and those plastic gates that you can buy. Yes, I know you can buy the high-end gates made out of aluminum and things, but those are like $100 per gate. And when you need 10 or 12 of them, that's a lot of money. These you can make for just a few dollars a piece. To me, they're 100%. So when you can't hardly do better than 100%. I mean, they are absolutely airtight and they work great. Hope you are looking forward to that, you woodworkers that are out there, and probably make the plans available for about $10. So it's not going to be expensive or anything, and you'll have real good information on how to make these gates. Well, that's about it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you would, please give me a thumbs up and be sure to put those questions, comments, and or topics you'd like to discuss in tomorrow's Shop Talk in the comments. And I thank you very much.